Welcome back to Parsnips and Parsimony. Spring is finally here and it's time for me to give some attention to this raised bed. This raised bed is 3 years old, and as you can see, the soil level has dropped a lot, and that's because I used my own compost in it, and I also used the stick layer method. So there was sticks at the bottom, and then I did compost along with cardboard and then more soil. And over the past 3 years, that soil has broken down, and you can see I have about 9 inches of metal that needs to be filled up with soil again. So last year I had a variety of tomatoes and kale, beets and lettuce in here, and the kale unfortunately did not survive the winter. Sometimes kale will survive, but this kale just did not survive. So I need to clean this up before I add more soil. In fact, some of that kale went to seed. It's just starting to grow. I am going to pull those out so we can just start fresh in here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this out and then see what we have to work with and probably start filling this up with some fresh dirt. So this is all cleaned out, and obviously there's more soil at this end than there is that end. So I need to bring in quite a bit of soil. Now we are cleaning out our chicken run, which is right here, and it's a mixture of all of the soil from the chickens for the past 3 years, plus some sandy soil, which I think will be a really nice mix for this soil. And so I'm gonna get moving, get all of that put in here, and show you the end result. My homemade compost works really well in these beds, but if you don't have an opportunity to have your own compost, or you don't have the quantity that you need for this, you can always contact your local town. Often they will have a compost program. Not all towns do, but a lot of them do, and you can get compost soil and things like that to fill these up, which is a little bit cheaper than buying them by the bags at your local nursery. And you can also often get truckloads of dirt if you need something a little bit more than those bags. The main thing to remember is whatever you're putting in here, to make sure that it's really good quality. That's why I only use what I do myself with my compost, and that's why this drops so much, is because I use the compost when it's still composting. It's most of the way composted, probably 80-85% of the way, but there's still some composting happening, and you can tell after 3 years that soil finished composting. It's beautiful soil. Can you believe that this was food waste just 3 years ago? And look how beautiful that is now. And every year I do add a little bit more compost to this because it still is always decomposing, and the plants, you're growing things in it, and I do want fresh soil in here. It's just this year, after 3 years, it needs a little bit more than just a little compost. We have quite a bit of compost here. Not all of this is ready to use. This is our freshest compost. This is actually almost ready to get turned. We use brown materials such as cardboard and paper along with sawdust. And then in the summertime it gets a lot of greens. In the winter it gets a lot of vegetable scraps and things like that. And then the piles just get turned until we get all the way to the last one. And the soil is pretty much composted. It's not totally finished, but this is what I filled my raised bed with 3 years ago. And you can see there's still lumps in it, but it's mostly broken down, and the plants just love this stuff. Ooh, look at that. Healthy worm. That's what I like to see. So that was 5 full large loads from the wheelbarrow, and that filled it up pretty well full. I could probably fit one more in there. Oh, hello, Feathers. Do you want to add some fertilizer to the garden? Go right ahead. So that's how I prepared the spring raised bed, and we'll be planting that probably tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope this helped you prepare your spring raised bed. Have fun gardening.